Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, we're jumping straight into something I think, everyone grapples with. Why we make financial decisions that just don't seem to make sense, even when we know better. Our focus today is the behavioral economics of financial resilience. So let's let's unpack this right away. Ever wonder why, you absolutely know you should be saving more, putting money aside, but then the moment comes, maybe online shopping, maybe something else, and suddenly the rational part of your brain just goes quiet. That gap. That's
Hmm.
what we're exploring today. Our mission is really digging into the psychology behind our money habits, what's going on in our heads.
Oh, that gap is completely universal. And you hit on it feels like your brain is playing tricks on you because, well, it kind of is. We're just not wired to be these perfectly logical spreadsheets when it comes
Hmm.
to money. We rely on these mental shortcuts, heuristics that maybe helped us survive way back when, but aren't so great for managing, say, a retirement fund. Understanding these hidden biases, these mental tricks, that's really the key to making better choices.
Right. So it's not just about learning more finance rules. It's about understanding the operating system they run on. And what you, the listener, will get today isn't just theory. We want you to walk away with like a tactical toolkit. We're going to identify some key biases that mess with our money, and crucially, what strategies the source material suggests for building genuine financial resilience. Resilience against our own impulses.
Exactly. Resilience is the goal.
Okay, let's start with that core conflict. We learn the basics, right? Compound interest, emergency funds, avoid bad debt. We
Yeah.
know this stuff. But these psychological forces, they seem powerful enough to just steamroll that logic. So if we know it's rational, what specifically makes us pick the irrational options so often?
Well, a big part of it is that our brains are fundamentally wired for um, immediate gratification. We prefer comfort now, simplicity now, over potentially larger but more abstract gains way off in the future. These mental shortcuts, they're running all the time in the background. And the source material we looked at really highlights a couple of big ones, real wrecking balls for financial plans. Present bias is one, and the other is mental accounting.
Okay, present bias and mental accounting. Let's pull those apart because they sound a bit academic, but I bet they feel very familiar. Present bias, how does that actually, show up day to day?
Present bias is fundamentally choosing a smaller reward today over a much bigger reward later. It's like this constant tug of war between your current self and your future self.
Mm-hmm.
Your current self is shouting, yes, buy the shoes, you deserve it.
All right.
While your future self is just, quietly despairing about having enough money down the road. The immediate pleasure, or even just avoiding a small hassle now, feels way more important than that distant benefit.
Okay, that makes total sense. It's basically why hitting snooze on our savings goals is so easy. The immediate comfort wins.
Precisely. And then you've got mental accounting, and this one is huge. I think almost everyone does this without realizing it. It's this tendency we have to treat money differently based on, like, where it came from or what mental bucket we put it in, even though rationally a dollar is a dollar, right?
Give us an example of that. How does that play out?
Okay, think about getting a tax refund
Mm.
or maybe a small bonus from work. Feels like extra money, doesn't it? Like found money.
Yeah, totally. Fun money.
Exactly. Fun money. So people often splash out on something they wouldn't normally buy, a fancy gadget, a weekend trip, even if they're carrying, say, high-interest credit card debt at the same time. Logically, the absolute best thing to do with that refund is chip away at the debt that's costing you money.
Right. Obvious on paper.
But because the refund is mentally filed under windfall and the debt is filed under monthly bills, they're treated as completely separate pots of money. They don't mix.
Wow. That's incredibly relatable. You're literally creating these separate little accounts in your head, and the rules are different for each account.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really striking there is how behavioral economics changes the whole game. It's not just about managing the numbers anymore. It's about managing the thinking behind the number.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the shift. And the power comes when you can actually see the trick happening. Like, oh, okay, I'm doing that mental accounting thing right now. This isn't fun money, it's just money. Recognizing it is the first step to disarming it.
Okay, so recognizing the biases is step one. Now let's talk about the outcome we're aiming for here, according to the sources. Robust financial resilience. That sounds like it's more than just having, a decent amount saved up. Because we all know people, or maybe you're people, who have some money, but still kind of panic or make weird decisions under pressure. So what does resilience mean in this psychological context?
Yeah, it's definitely more than just the bank balance. Resilience, in this sense, is about the stability of your choices, especially when things get stressful. It's having the mental strength to stick with your long-term plan, even if you face a surprise bill or the market takes a nosedive.
Hmm.
And that stability, it really starts with being aware of these mental traps we've been talking about.
Okay, but here's a question. If I know the bias is there, like I catch myself thinking of my tax refund as found money, is just knowing that enough? Because, I don't know, recognizing the problem feels a bit passive. How do we actively turn that awareness into, like, real mastery over the impulse? What do the sources say about doing something?
That's a great question. And you're right, awareness is like the diagnosis. It tells you where the weakness is. It's not the cure itself. The sources really emphasize that the real power, the path to mastery, comes from putting structures in place. Things that behavioral economists often call nudges or commitment devices.
Grudges and commitment devices.
Yeah, these are strategies where you basically anticipate your future self is going to be irrational.
Which it probably will be.
Huh. Right. So you set things up now to essentially lock in the rational choice before that future impulsive self even gets a chance to mess things up. You're outsmarting your future self.
I love that. Locking in rationality. That sounds much more active. Okay, so let's get specific. What are some key strategies the sources suggest for fighting back against things like present bias and mental accounting?
Well, probably the single most powerful strategy, especially against present bias, is automation. The thinking is, if your present self is always going to want to spend rather than save, then just take the decision away from your present self altogether.
How does that work practically?
You set up automatic transfers. The day you get paid, boom, a certain amount automatically goes to savings, automatically goes to investments, maybe automatically pays down debt. You never even see that money in your main account as available to spend. It's gone before your present bias can grab it and before your mental accounting can file it under available fund money.
Ah, okay. So you're basically sidestepping willpower. Instead of fighting that battle every single payday, you build a system that just does the right thing on autopilot.
Exactly. It makes the good choice the easy choice, the default choice. It removes the friction, the emotional effort.
Makes sense. What about situations where maybe full automation isn't quite possible?
Right. For those situations, the other big strategy is pre-commitment. This is where you deliberately make it harder for your future self to do the wrong thing. You tie your own hands, so to speak.
Okay, like, give me a financial version of putting the cookies on the top shelf where you can't easily reach them.
Precisely. So a financial example might be choosing a savings account that maybe has a penalty if you withdraw early, or putting money into a retirement account like a 401k, or an RRSP where there are hoops to jump through, or penalties for taking it out before retirement.
Ah, okay. So knowing that barrier exists makes you pause before dipping in impulsively.
Exactly. You've intentionally created an obstacle for your future tempted self.
Hmm.
It forces a moment of friction, a moment to reconsider. And this really gets to the heart of it. Mastery, in this behavioral view, isn't really about suddenly developing perfect, iron-willed financial discipline overnight.
That sounds exhausting anyway.
Right. It's more about cleverness. It's about consciously designing your financial environment, your systems, so that the good decisions become the path of least resistance.
So wrapping this part up, what it means for you listening right now is that the route to better financial choices isn't just about knowing more, it's about setting up systems. Stopping those mental tricks, the present bias that wants everything now, the mental accounting that chops your money into weird categories by using structural fixes like automation and pre-commitment. It's about making rational choices easier to execute. Okay, as we bring this deep dive to a close, we've covered some really interesting ground, I think. We've moved beyond just saying, yeah, sometimes we make bad money decisions and really dug into the why from behavioral economics. We've seen how understanding these specific psychological shortcuts, these biases, is really the first step towards building systems that support genuine financial resilience.
Yeah, and that resilience, as we discussed, isn't just about how much you have saved, but really about the consistency and quality of your financial decision-making, especially when you're stressed or tempted. The material we explored makes it pretty clear that awareness is crucial, but it's the tactical steps automating your savings, using pre-commitment strategies that turn that awareness into real strength. So the final thought we want to leave you with today is really a challenge. It builds directly on this idea of pre-commitment. Think about your own financial life right now. Maybe there's a high-interest debt that nags at you, or perhaps you know you should be saving more automatically but haven't set it up yet. Identify just one area, and then ask yourself this. What is one concrete action I can take, maybe even today, to pre-commit? To tie my future self's hands just a little bit, making the rational, financially sound choice the easiest, maybe even the only option available when the moment comes.